Yo, what's going on people, and welcome back to the channel. In this video I'm going to show you how to make samples like Nami and Coop just from using stock plugins on FL. So if you like the sound of this, so the first thing I did was just use these keys, FL keys, sort of changed them so it was a little bit more darker, and I came up with these chords. And all I did with that was just, obviously, I just threw into a reels just to give it a little bit more of like a grittiness, make it sound a little bit more real. Then just used a reverb, slight reverb, and just EQ as usual. And then I tracked it out and I used the first and third chord from just the main keys. So it's just like this. With another one, I reversed it, as you can see here. Obviously, when I reversed it, I brought the back to the front, so it was just on the same chord. Then I did another version of the reverse, but I just made it a little bit more higher pitched just to give it a little bit extra clarity. So with the first one, because it was reversed and there was just nasty frequencies, so I just took out some highs and just the low mid. Then with the higher reverse one, I wanted to be very modularized and just wanted to give it a cool waved effect. And then for that, I used quite a lot of heavy ping pong delay just to make it just stand out and have a little bit of variation in the end of the chord. I wanted to just make it a little bit squash. I took out some highs and lows, phased it so it was sweeping, so like the frequency was rising with the reverse. It just give it a cool effect. Then I used this fake Leslie because I just wanted to take it out from being a natural sounding piano. I just wanted to give that warped effect, and then I just used this low high just to cut the high frequencies because obviously I brought it up a bit. And I just wanted it to just be a little bit of a texture more than the actual sound. Then next I use this like detuned electric piano from Flex, which is also a stock plugin. And all I've done here, as you can see, I've just added extra strumming of the same first chord, just to give it a variation and just pretty much trick the listener and be like, oh look, there's a different sound that you can hear. And then in the middle here, you can see I've used like a falling effect just to give it a like emotional feel, just brings a different tension to the whole sample. I wanted to make it sound a little bit more like a Rhodes and a bit more, so I used this Juno chorus just to give it a warped effect. Then I ran it for a reels and a reverb as usual and EQ'd. Then I just used this 1/8 delay just to give it a little bit more space in the background. And then I used the upright bass 2 from Fruity DX10, which is like a bass guitar. And as you see at the ends, I've just added extra accents to just bounce and just give it a nice jazzy feel that I like to use on my samples. And for this, I thought it was very flat, so I wanted to add bass in, frequency about 69. I didn't want to give it too much intensity, I brought it quite down. I just wanted to just give it a little bit more of a low end. Then this Corey Wang, I used the J preset and I just turned the low knob up a little bit and the highs and mids down a little bit. Then I used this virtual mix rack and I literally EQ'd it. Here I compressed it so it's a little bit tighter. Then I used this Revel machine that just gives it a little bit more thickness to the bass, makes it just sound a little bit more realistic. Then I wanted to make it even more thicker, so I used this stereo thicker micro shift preset and just brought the mix down a little bit. Then just EQ some lows as I boosted quite a lot of lows and just wanted to bring them down a little bit. Next we used this horn, which is in the first half of the sample, and it's from Flex again. And then for that, I use this bad echo reels and I did a lot of flutter on it. I wanted it to be really warped, just give it a weird texture, and I felt like using all these presets just give it that nice core grittiness to the whole overall sound that I was going for. Then as usual, just a reverb and an EQ. Then I wanted to give it a lot more space, so I just brought this S1 imager and just made it very wide, so it just fit in the frequency and the stereo field a lot better. Next, I added these FPC drums. I like to use like jazz sort of type drums in the backgrounds of my samples, and this just gives it a nice rhythm and ride. And as you can see here, I use multiple different sounds from it, and it sounds like this. I use this overhead smooth on the virtual mix rack just to give some boost and take down some frequencies I didn't like. I compressed it just to make the whole drums sound a little bit more tighter and natural. Then I used the slightest room reverb, and I put the little tiniest bit of mix on, and that just makes it feel a little bit more realistic and just sound like it actually what it says in a room. Then I just used this vintage plugin just to downsample and just take some high end that I didn't like out of the sample. Next, I used this toxic biohazard flute. Reverb and EQ as always used. I used another delay, but 1/16, so it was very minimal. Then I used a second reels because I just wanted to wash it out and just make that flutter sound again. Then at the end of 8th bar, I just want to add something that just catches the attention a little bit and not as frequent. So again, I used this Sakura flute. And all I did was that, just use reels, some reverb and EQ. Then for this sample, I did actually bring a vocal from Splice because I've got a sore throat at the minute, so I can't actually record my voice. So I thought I'd just use a Splice vocal. It sounds like this. Then altogether, this is how the whole sample sounds. So yeah, for the stock plugins, that sample come out perfect. I did bring it down by 3 semitones and then EQ'd a little bit that I didn't like. So if you like this video, then you know what to do. Leave a comment, a like, subscribe to my channel. Also follow my Instagram that's going to be on the screen, and I'll see you in the next one, people.